If you are working on improving your pronunciation, reducing your foreign accent, and developing more of an American accent, I want you to watch this because there is this mistake that every English learner makes at least once in their English learning and accent reduction journey because it is completely normal. And here's the mistake. They know how to properly pronounce a sound from the American accent. However, when they speak English in their day-to-day life, they forget to use that new American sound and tend to replace it with their old sound, which is influenced by their native language, giving them more of a foreign accent, whether they slightly mispronounce something or it is more drastic. And I have some tips for you guys so you can learn how to fix this. But please know that this is completely normal. I do this in my foreign languages. And this is because it's all about retraining yourself to create different pronunciation habits. Habits can be difficult to break, and sometimes we don't even realize certain habits that we have. I've seen this a lot in some of my new students. So they will perfectly pronounce certain sounds, but in random words, they will go back to that foreign pronunciation. So let's say they know how to pronounce the American R perfectly, but in random words, such as maybe three, they might say three, or even though they've mastered the Y sound, they still might accidentally pronounce it mayor or mayor, and kind of add that R in. Or they've mastered the V sound and the W sound, but sometimes when they pronounce the W sound, I still sort of hear a slight V because their teeth here are touching their bottom lip, because their old habits are still kind of influencing some of the words that they use in English. So the tips to fix this and improve this. The first way you can fix this is by taking the time to pronounce those sounds and to really be intentional to properly pronounce those sounds. And sometimes you may feel like you're exaggerating those sounds just because you're trying to develop that habit. And sometimes it might feel a little too simple, a little too beginnerish, because you might already speak fluently and almost like a native English speaker, and then to slow down and talk like a beginner again might be difficult or weird. But when we have those habits, sometimes slowing down on those sounds might be beneficial until we have fully developed and mastered that habit of pronouncing that sound 100% of the time, or almost 100% of the time. What I mean is that if you have mastered the R, that whenever you are speaking, you want to be intentional about properly saying the R like an American R, because you are capable of doing that. But sometimes it just kind of slips or you miss certain words, and that will affect your accent. And I would say that you probably don't even realize most of the time when you are not pronouncing the sound like you should, because it is a habit. And especially when you've reached that level where you're fluent, where you don't really have to think when you speak, you don't realize the sounds that you're making. So another thing you can do is to underline that sound if you are reading, or if you're practicing that sound by reading. So if you have a passage in front of you, you can underline where that sound should be pronounced. And this will help remind you when to really be intentional and concentrate on really pronouncing that sound correctly in that word with the American accent that you are trying to have and already have achieved in most of the words and sentences that you say anyways. Hey, before we continue, I just wanted to let you know that I do have a free mini course, my Accent Reduction Framework mini course that I created for English learners that would like to improve their American accent and reduce their foreign accent. So if that interests you, type the word framework in the comments and I will share with you how to get that for free. Type the word framework in the comments and I will share with you how to get that. These habits run strong and deep, so it's important to practice daily. By practicing daily and to slow down and be intentional and to make sure that you're pronouncing it correctly, you're going to rebuild that habit, that muscle memory. So if there are certain parts of your mouth that want to go back to the habit of your native language, so for example, with the W sound, your teeth want to touch your lip, You're able to retrain it by constantly practicing the W sound or whatever sound that you are trying to master correctly, because it takes a lot of effort to practice and to really think about where your lips are and where your tongue is and where everything's supposed to be. So, in day to day life, we are not going to be constantly thinking about it. So, taking time out of your day to practice daily and to slowly and repetitively pronounce those sounds and making sure that everything is like it should be, that daily or almost daily habit will help you master that. And if you followed me and watched my other videos, you probably know exactly what the F stands for. And that is getting feedback. Like I mentioned, you probably don't realize the mistakes that you make when you speak. So it's important to get feedback. For example, if you have a friend or a family member that speaks English as a first language, you could ask them. Maybe they'll say no, maybe they'll say yes. You can ask them if they can listen for that specific sound, because sometimes it's hard to know what to listen for. But if you know that you are working on the W sound or the R sound or the whatever sound, you can ask your partner or friend or coworker or whoever is willing to do this for you. You can ask them, hey, whenever I pronounce the R like R, please let me know. You can even have a fun little symbol that whenever I touch my forehead, it means that I've heard that. So that will give you constant feedback. And the more feedback you get, the easier it will be to notice when you mispronounce something or you pronounce it like your native language. And then you can start to self-correct yourself. And then as you start to self-correct yourself and to develop those pronunciation habits, those incorrect sounds will slowly disappear. And that habit of pronouncing those words with American pronunciation will, ideally be more dominant as you put in the work. And this is something that can take a lot of mental work from your partner or your friends. So if you want to, just limit that to a certain time, that could be helpful as well. Which leads me to my bonus point. If you have gotten to the point where you know how to properly pronounce that sound, and you know when you mispronounce it, if you were to hear it, you could every once in a while, it could be daily, it could be once a week, you could record yourself speaking. And then as you listen back to the recording, you can listen for that sound. And you might even be able to hear it for yourself. And then you can correct yourself. You say, oh, when I actually say this word, I say it incorrectly. And then you can add that to your homework of practicing. And even when you use that word in day-to-day English, you can be more intentional. If you would like to practice your pronunciation with an American accent, click here. Or if you'd like to watch more videos on different tips and tricks when it comes to having more of an American accent, feel free to click here and learn more. Anyways, take care, and I hope to see you in another video. Bye.